AI can do a lot of things. And today we have examples like protect birds in fly zones, discover cancer and learn about what is the typical thing of that cancer, decide about loans, reducing the fraud rate. And now you might ask yourself, okay, great, but how should I do that? We have an interview with Ron Green from Kung Fu AI. He is co-founder and CTO of Kung Fu. And they actually are the right people if you want to know how to run your own AI in your firm. Focusing on human-centered AI, that's what they do. That's what we'll talk about today. Welcome to the Beginner's Guide to AI for another interview session. And it's Dietmar again on the microphone. So let's start. Yeah, as the podcast is not about me, but about Ron, let's ask him directly. So first, Ron, welcome to the podcast. And can you tell us a little about who you are and why AI? Huh?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for having me. Really, really a pleasure. I have been working in AI for decades now. So I am co-founder and chief technology officer of a company, Kung Fu AI, and we are a consulting and services company. So we help our clients build custom AI solutions, and we do strategy and engineering. Um, my background is in computer science, and I got interested in artificial intelligence in my last year of undergrad. And it's kind of funny. I was actually really burned out with software and computer science in general. I remember thinking my last semester, I don't know what I'm going to do as a career, but it's not going to involve software because I was just exhausted. And then my last semester, I had an elective and I took artificial intelligence 101 and instantly fell in love. And I knew that's what I wanted to do with my career. And I went on to grad school and I got a master's in AI. And I consider it a privilege to work in this field. It's my life's ambition.
That's interesting. So AI saved you, kind of. Yeah,
AI
that's a
saved
good thing.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you said then you started really early with AI compared to what the others do. And
Mhm.
but now you're in a firm like, so first Kung Fu AI. So start with important stuff. Why Kung Fu?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is we wanted a really catchy name, something that would stand out, and Kung Fu definitely catches people attention.
Yes.
But the other thing is it's actually kind of funny. The word Kung Fu in Mandarin literally translates to skill achieved through hard work. And we thought that was kind of perfect for what we do because even today, if you're building AI systems, still a little bit more of an art than a science, and it takes a lot of practice and mastery to get good at it.
Okay, yeah, that is, I didn't know that actually. That's like, it's funny because that's such a generic term. Everybody talks about it, but yeah, okay,
Yes.
that's cool. Um,
Yeah.
but what is it you do with Kung Fu AI? What do you do there? Because I went to the website, it's consulting, it's strategic, it's like those meta terms, and
Yeah.
but you help firms basically.
That's exactly right. So we are 7 years old. We've been focused on AI exclusively since we were founded in 2017. And we help companies adopt and implement artificial intelligence technologies. And so we do everything. We provide everything from AI strategy development to custom AI model development. So we'll build AI solutions, most of them custom for our clients.
The first thing is 2017. Did you expect that boom of AI then? I mean, it was before ChatGPT for the listeners, no?
Yes, yes. I think I might have anticipated the boom hitting earlier. In 2017, this is not an exaggeration. I remember thinking we have a year, maybe 2 years to really figure out our methodology before the world wakes up and realizes that, unlike in the 90s and the 80s and before, that AI is real now. AI is really capable of doing powerful things. And so it was kind of funny. all of our clients the first 5 years were really early adopters. They were kind of like true believers. And it wasn't until ChatGPT that the rest of the world kind of woke up and realized the potential of AI.
That is interesting because I was in one or two startups myself, and this is the typical panic that one is too late. Yeah, that is like, and in the end, the outside the bubble, the time moves differently. Yeah.
I remember thinking in the 90s before I went to grad school to study AI, I remember thinking, I'm too late. They've got this all figured out.
Oh yeah. And now, but now it's interesting. I mean, now the firms really come. How is it? How many? I mean, do the firms come to you, or do you have to do hard work, or is it like how is the mood in the industries?
Yeah, things are changing. Things have changed quite a bit just this year. We are being approached more and more by companies to help them figure out the strategy. I think we've gone through 3 phases in the last 5 years. Really sort of that classic early adopter. After ChatGPT came out, it was mostly people who were interested in generative AI. We would get people reaching out to us saying, hey, we need some artificial intelligence. And we would say, well, what do you need? And they would say, oh, I don't care. I just need some, or the board's going to be mad. Like I'm going to get in trouble. And that lasted for about 1.5 years. And I would say, really over the last quarter or so, the market has matured and we're starting to have conversations more and more with people that understand the difference between generative AI and predictive AI. And they understand, partly maybe through some trouble building AI systems themselves, that it's not quite as easy as using ChatGPT may lead you to believe. And they need help building things. And we're really big believers at Kung Fu AI that you should build a strategy roadmap first. Don't just go spend a bunch of money building complex AI systems. Because most companies have done almost nothing with artificial intelligence yet, there are really low-hanging fruit, easy opportunities for most companies to take that first step into AI. And we see it over and over again that once a company has a successful deployment with AI, they kind of get confident and it leads to more success. Where the companies that tried to do something too complex and fail really struggle to get any type of momentum.
Yeah, I can imagine this. If those firms come to you, how? I mean, you said it's a strategic level first, not like doing stuff, but what would be the first steps? I have a company, I did meddle in AI, and I don't know what to do now because, and then I come to you and say, I need help.
Yeah, we'll have people come to us say, hey, we took some of our software development engineers and we put them on an AI project and it failed. Can you help us? Or we'll have companies come to us and say, we have an idea, for example, could we use computer vision to detect manufacturing defects? Or could we use AI to detect fraud or optimize supply chains? And we'll say, yes, absolutely. More and more we get companies coming to us saying, we don't know where to start. They want to build their own teams internally. They want to become proficient in AI, but they're not sure what's real and what's fake, what's just hype, where to start, how to invest, how to hire, how to build, and they just kind of need help with all of it. And for those types of clients, we really recommend a strategy-focused engagement where we can lay out a roadmap that provides really strong ROI associated with potential AI initiatives. And we're really big believers that companies should have at least a 10x, a 10 times return on their investment at this point to do an AI initiative, because there are so many good opportunities that it's kind of a waste of money to do something that will just, provide slight efficiencies or, a minor incremental feature improvement. Um, so then that's why most companies are probably best suited to start with strategy.
Mm. You say the strategy level, but how does that? What does it really mean? I mean, it's like change management or whatever. But I have my stuff, and where do you go in? Do you talk to the management level first? Do you talk to the programmers first, or do you evaluate the market situation, or where do you go in?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is really all of that. We will go in, talk to all of the main stakeholders for the different business units or different product lines. We are not going to be a domain expert for every business. So we work really closely with the business to make sure that we take the time to understand the domain, and then we will explore potential AI opportunities. And then once we come up with sort of a master list of potential approaches, we will do deeper dives to try to determine the feasibility around those initiatives. And that could include understanding data availability, because as I'm sure everybody knows by now, most AI today is really deeply based upon data. And so you, as a company, you have to have the data, but it can also be, your superpower. You can have, proprietary data that nobody else has, and it can allow you to do things that are unique to your business. We have to look at data bias. We have to look at the ethical issues associated with this. There's data policy and data governance. And then there's the product roadmap. We've seen people come out and build AI solutions without being aligned with the different business units and product lines. And that is just a waste of money, because you can go build something and it will just get put on a shelf. So you have to have complete buy-in across the business. And there's also a lot of uncertainty right now about what AI is. And we'll run into some people who aren't sure about how AI works, or they have misconceptions like it's infallible, it can never make a mistake. Or they worry that if you build an AI system, that you have no control, that AI model, once you release it, will make all of the decisions and there's nothing they can do. That's not true at all. You can put around policies and rules that can manage any aspect of the AI pipelines. And so we look at it holistically like that, and then we come back with the recommendation. And we'll do that classic grid where we're looking for things that have high impact and low cost.
Yeah. That's that coming back also to this 10x. You want to make an impact, and is it? But that sounds quite high in terms of I implement something and then it's like, wow, going through the roof. I mean,
yeah, we've built systems that are doing so. For example, like automatic loan decision systems that are now trading hundreds of millions of dollars automatically, and that was a massive return on the investment. We've built systems that have reduced fraud by 40%. We've built systems that do product recommendations or document information extraction or price optimization. It's really, really amazing what you can do now.
We also said a little bit, the people might be like they're afraid, they have a fear that if the systems are too good, they take control, but also they take their jobs. Is it something you have to work with?
Man, that is a great question. That is a big concern, and it's actually a pretty big concern of ours at Kung Fu AI as well. We really are big believers in AI augmentation. And so, for example, the loan system that I mentioned, it is now doing 50% of the loan transactions, and they had hundreds of people doing that work. But all of those people are still working. The difference is now they're focused on the 50% of the loans that the AI system said might be fraudulent or might have other problems. And so now it's kind of the best of all worlds. They went from only being available during business hours to the AI works night and day, never gets tired. And then the humans can focus on the hard decisions and the hard loans, and their clients get faster turnaround. So it's faster, cheaper, better, and humans are doing more interesting work and nobody lost their job.
It's against the routine. Yeah. I see that. No, it's like I think in this world, the people are afraid that they lose their jobs, but I mean, there are not enough people that work.
Right.
Actually, mostly, and at the moment, the problem is I basically come from an online marketing background, and there are more and more questions. Can you make an HR campaign?
Right.
People need workers. So is AI able to like be a substitute for us in the sense that we don't need to hire people, but they fill in the gaps?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And especially like, for example, with marketing campaigns, there's more and more use of generative AI. And generative AI, of course, is artificial intelligence that can generate new outputs that are similar to the distribution that the data set it was trained on, which is different than predictive AI, which is being trained to make decisions or make predictions. And with generative AI, you can now generate marketing images, marketing video, marketing text, but you still need a human to decide what type of content to make, and you still need humans to make decisions on that output and whether it is of high enough quality or if it meets sort of the style or content guidelines. And so generative AI, as powerful as it is still really in the early stages and requires a lot of human oversight.
Yeah, I think this is the one thing where there's always a human in the loop, and that's the one that who reviews things and make decisions. Yeah, that the AI can't yet do and probably won't. Yeah. That's good to know. Talking about because now we changed from the different to marketing from loans and marketing, and on your website I read health and government as a special topics, but it's basically from all branches, all kinds of firms or whatever come to you, or do you have a focus on certain areas?
We have a little bit of a focus on government, financial sectors, retail, and healthcare. But we've done work. I think we've done projects on like 30 different verticals, like insurance and manufacturing and biotechnology, just on and on. And that's because AI now can be applied to almost anything. And so it's really almost domain agnostic. But we've built, so for example, we built a breast cancer risk prediction model for a client. That model is now at the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, for approval, and it can predict the risk of breast cancer in women up to 5 years in advance. And what's amazing about this is it's not detecting cancer because there is no cancer. But it's a computer vision system, and it's able to look at mammograms and pick up biological signs of cancer that humans can't see. And interestingly, it was trained on data from around the world, from America, Germany, Brazil, and other countries. And so it will be capable of being racially agnostic because it was trained on such a broad set of data. And we did a lot of additional work to make sure that it is not biased against age, race, ethnicity, or anything. It is completely agnostic in that and just focuses on breast cancer risk.
Which is quite interesting because I wouldn't have thought of that at all. I was like, oh yeah, breast cancer, and not thinking about that might be for whatever reason, like diet you have in a certain country, or like genetic background or whatever, that might differ. Huh? So
Yeah.
age, what you say. And this is the simple thing is, okay, it helps against breast cancer, but yeah,
Right.
get it.
And what's crazy about it is the model was able to predict patient race, age, which, maybe that makes sense. It can predict whether they had high blood pressure and a bunch of other things. And we never trained it to do that. And we actually had a meeting with researchers at Stanford University because they were running into the same problem with some of their models, that it was learning all these things it wasn't supposed to know. And the good news is you can put in changes to how you train a model to prevent it from being able to learn that. You basically punish the model for being able to predict those, and you force it to have no better than just a random guess luck. And once you do that, that's how you can remove the bias from the model.
Actually, to go deeper in this, what's the problem with the bias?
Oh, great question. So there are all these famous stories throughout the history of AI where people built an AI system to do one thing, but they didn't realize they'd actually trained it to do another. One of the most famous examples was back in the 80s, there was a AI system that was trained to look at satellite photos and detect whether there were like military tanks in them. And it worked really, really great. What they didn't realize was that most of the photos of tanks were at night. And what they'd actually built was a daytime, nighttime detector, right? Because they didn't realize that they had that bias in the data set. With AI, for example, like with cancer prediction or cancer detection within mammograms, it's very common for when people get sick, or they think they've found cancer, you will go to a better or higher quality mammogram X-ray machine. Well, it's very easy for AI to just learn, oh, certain types of mammograms are associated with sicker people. And you haven't actually built a cancer risk prediction model. You've just built a like a machine detector, and it can detect what type of X-ray machine they were on. And so that and other issues around
go back to if only certain people have access to these machines, like talking about Brazil, Germany, US, who knows that the systems are different, and then for whatever reason somebody has access, another not, and then you also make a detector for like race, income, or whatever. Yeah, insurance.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, dangerous. Yeah, that's actually good to train that out of a model. Yeah, but
right.
Actually, so that's one of the things you actually do. You train out the bias.
That's right.
How does it practically look? You said you talked about ChatGPT or so. Do you use like open source models like Llama to build that for clients, or this is self-programmed stuff, or what models do you use? Where do you get them, or do you make them?
Yeah, great question. Most of the models we build, we make from scratch, and we train them on custom data sets. But even if we're building something, for example, we built a system recently that can detect manufacturing defects as a part of a car manufacturing process. That model is a computer vision model. We built from scratch. We designed the architecture. We built it in PyTorch. But we started with the weights from an open source model called that was trained on ImageNet. And this technique is called transfer learning, where you can take an AI model that was trained to do one task and use it as a starting point and start your training for that other task with those model weights. And it works great. And the reason is we now know that for example, with the computer vision network, these really big, deep neural networks tend to have they tend to learn to identify things like patterns and edges and differences in contrast in the early layers. And then at the end of the network, towards the head of the network, they'll typically learn things around, so for example, if you were learning about to read human faces, they would learn to detect eyes and nose and mouths and things like that. Well, you can take that neural network and chop off, what they call it, the head, chop off the head, put on a new head, and use all those other weights that have learned really good things and just train from scratch the head of the neural network. And the beautiful thing about that is it can really reduce the time and the compute necessary to have a high quality model.
As those models are not easy, let's say not cheap to train, and it takes time, that this is really a shortcut. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So you're basically also interesting. I mean, we all talk about those, since ChatGPT, about the huge amount of data that's needed. And what you basically do is like fine tuning or taking stuff. So you don't scrape the internet for what you do, basically.
No, for the most part, we work on proprietary models for businesses. And so we will use that business's proprietary sort of custom private data, but we will use designs and architectures that are open sourced. So if we were going to build a language model, we would look at the problem, and if it was necessary to use something like Llama, we might use Llama. If we were building like a chat bot that was going to be fine-tuned on their data, that would make complete sense. But if we were building something like maybe a custom classifier, we might start that from scratch.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not that, I mean, data hungry. It's like it's better to have the special data than the general data in essence.
The special data is better, but you can kind of have both now. You can start with the pre-trained model and the general data, and then, like you said, fine-tune it on the custom data, or use that just as a starting point for the weights and have a custom architecture. It's actually just kind of amazing what you can do now. You have so much flexibility.
It's more the question of what to do than whatever you want, you find the AI solution. But yeah,
that's exactly right.
Talking about what to do, as we talked about government, you're the first one on the podcast who did, as far as I know, government projects. Are you allowed to talk about government? What does government need for AI?
Yeah, we've done a lot of work for the government. We built a system to track low orbit satellites for the Navy, because there are so many satellites now that they have to avoid colliding with each other. So we built they call it a space asset tracking system. We built a system to identify endangered habitats for birds. And the reason we did this is the Air Force does a lot of training missions, but they don't want to fly over areas where certain types of endangered birds live. So we took a bunch of satellite data and built a segmentation computer vision model so that the Air Force could identify those habitats and change their routes around them. We've built foreign object detection systems for runways. So jets will take off and they'll drop, little tiny pieces of metal or bolts.
Yes.
They get sucked up into a jet engine. It could cost $1 million to fix. We built a system that uses high frequency electromagnetic radiation to scan runways and find these little tiny pieces, and more and more and more. I could tell you so much.
What's interesting about that is it's all not ChatGPT. So it's like what do people think? I mean, it's like this if you do like on Google News, you do a search on artificial intelligence, it's basically ChatGPT. But there are so many more ideas or things one can do. That's really interesting. Yeah. So
Absolutely. So true. So true.
yeah. I mean, the idea with birds. I mean, they care actually. That's interesting. A, it's a good thing to know, and B, that AI can help that. I thought it's like really simple, but it doesn't seem to be. I mean, I thought this is the area, and just mark it on a map, but it doesn't seem to be that easy. And so
no, because the birds move around and will change from year to year, and so they have to update it every year.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
Funny, yeah. Good. That was interesting insights. But you said also they have to update it every year. What's your perspective on AI? What do you think? I mean, that's like a prediction model. How is the future of AI? Is it what you do now? Will that be the near future, or is it like qualitative changes coming and we do different things like AGI, this automatic and whatever? Do you have any ideas or perspectives on that?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I can see fairly clearly 5 to 10 years out, and after that it gets a little fuzzy. We co-hosted a biology machine learning hackathon recently, where teams from 62 different countries competed using open source AI to develop custom proteins to bind to cancer cells. And that is an example of where I think we're going to see a lot of progress in the next few years. Things like custom drugs, custom therapies that are tailored specifically to people's own genomes, very highly specific cancer treatments where we'll be able to sequence the specific cancer that somebody has and develop therapeutics that will bind to those cancers perfectly. All of that is going to happen in the next 10 years. We're already seeing massive improvements in other areas of science, chemistry, mathematics. There are now systems that can do proof checking and that are helping move and make progress in mathematics. So in the short term, I'm extremely optimistic about the positive impacts. I do worry about the generative AI problems around, fake videos, fake audio, things like that. I tend to be an optimist there, though, a little bit. We've had problems with counterfeits for thousands of years. People have been faking signatures, faking letters, lying witnesses that will lie. So, that has been something we've dealt with throughout humanity. AGI and this idea that we would have, autonomous AI systems, that's a little bit harder to predict when we're going to get there. Most of the people I know that are working on that problem think we are less than 10 years away, and that we will have AI systems with, broad, general, superhuman capabilities. And I think that when we reach that stage, we're going to have essentially personal assistants that will help guide us and help make recommendations and manage our time and our schedule and optimize our lives in really, really positive ways. I'm not one of those people that thinks that powerful technologies will automatically be negative or that we'll have the Terminator or
exactly
Matrix
Terminator,
scenario. But we do have to be careful. And I think we need to have a lot of collaboration between the government and the private industry, that we need to be flexible and that we need to adapt our policies as things advance, because we don't want to stifle innovation, but we also don't want to have just an AI arms race where we have countries competing to build, killer AI. And then, we wake up one day and we have, autonomous kill robots and things like that. I think that's a very dark future that we can't avoid if we're thoughtful and collaborative together.
Yeah. And I think interesting point is what you said is to be actually flexible in those things. So look at what's just developed, not have a strong rule system that is, for whatever reason, stifling innovation or not adjustable to the things that really happen. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So, but now we talked already about my grand terminator question. Then let's do it differently and come to you personally. I'm just curious. How do you use AI? Do you use ChatGPT, or which AIs do you use?
I do use ChatGPT. I also like Claude quite a bit. I think Claude Sonnet 3.5 is really powerful. And I also use Copilot from GitHub, which is a AI coding assistant that is getting better and better every year. And there's a new tool called Cursor that I really like. And it is a new AI coding assistant that can do more than just incremental changes. It can make changes and then anticipate what next action needs to be taken to help you with your workflow. And it's really impressive. I really recommend people checking that out.
That is interesting. So like already 3 or 4 tools. I'm in the same field there. There's like how many tools you have, and it's like all of them have something. It's like there's a lot of things coming around. There's like
there really are. Really are.
So yeah, you already said programming is one of the things you use it for. What are other things you use it personally for?
I just downloaded the new Apple Intelligence operating system release, which came out this week, and it's pretty impressive. They have built-in text tools, so you can use it to proofread your content and fix spelling and grammar mistakes, but you can also use it to rewrite it. You can say, make this friendlier or make it more professional. And I'm pretty impressed. It works really well. So I will frequently use ChatGPT or Claude or something like that to make sure that my messages are clear and professionally written. That's probably the number one way I use AI every day. In a way that I recognize. Of course, we're all using AI constantly with voice transcriptions and photo recognitions within our photo libraries and things like that. But a lot of people don't know that's AI, and they take it for granted. But that's where I think we're going with AI. Is it's going to be pervasive, and it will become so common people won't even notice it anymore, and they won't even be impressed. It'll just be taken for granted.
That's actually the Apple thing. They even changed the name. It's not artificial intelligence anymore, and it becomes normal. And yeah, thinking about it, it's like already the cameras use AI in your phone. It's like this is already there, and at a certain point it will be just normal. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Yeah. Still interesting that the firms have to figure out how to use it to get there. Yeah, that's really a point. And that's actually coming to the last part, because tell people how they can find you, how they can find kungfu.ai. Probably that is a good bet.
Yes, you nailed it. kungfu.ai. You can reach out to me directly at ron@kungfu.ai. It's RON. Or we have a podcast called Hidden Layers, where we dig in. It's a fairly technical deep dive podcast, but if you're interested in going a little bit deeper on artificial intelligence, please check it out.
I will put everything in the show notes for people to see it. And yeah, that's actually one last thing. I said you have a mascot, and it's called Kai. I read, and it's right. As a Cobra Kai And fan, I would say Kung Fu and Kai.
Yeah,
That
you
is
know, I
something.
can't remember. Kai stands for something in Mandarin, and I'm
Oh yeah, I
completely
forgot. I just
blanking.
read it, but yeah. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
some things there. But I had to laugh because it's like I had to definitely think of Cobra Kai, and I think yeah, your firm is a fun workplace. It's like you
It
have some
it
people.
is. We have a lot of fun. I work with amazingly smart, kind, funny people. I feel really lucky.
That's the best note to end. So Ron, I say thank you for answering all my questions. I hope the listeners also learned a lot, and I will say thank you, goodbye, and see you next year for something else.
Thank you so much.
Wow, great. It was great talking to you, Ron, about how can AI be implemented in a practical way. We had some interviews with really deep level, really tech level. This was one of the ones where I said, okay, that's how it works. Like starting with a pre-trained model and then train it with your own data to achieve whatever you want. And also this I found really interesting that Kung Fu worked in about 30 different verticals, meaning basically the other way around, really everyone can use AI. Everybody can implement AI in the daily work, reducing routine work. Yeah, it was great that you were here listening to the podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the newsletter at argoberlin.com/newsletter. And see you next time on Beginner's Guide to AI. Signing off, Dietmar from argo.berlin.